Remember to know your priority tasks. Use a calendar or planner to conduct the activity. Be realistic about what you can actually get done. Make the most of the time you have and understand that no one's doing it all. Plan ahead, whether it's a weekly or daily, to know the plan for your future so you can move into action mode. And finally, use this to put yourself first. Make sure you're scheduling time in bag of time blocking. Is it for you? How do you do it? What it looks like? I will show a few visuals for those who are on YouTube, but if you are listening on the podcast, don't worry, I've got you. There is a linked time blocking guide in the show notes that will give you the visuals that I talk about today. So let's roll into today's episode. If you've heard of the term time blocking and wonder if it's something that other people do, but it's not for you, well, are you a full-time working parent and think, what's the point since my schedule is the same each week? Guess what? I was once in your shoes and I've changed my tune, so it's time you did too. Time blocking gives your freedom back in your week by helping you visualize where you have your space in your days and where you might need a little support. It can help regardless of the stage of life you are in. Maybe you are a stay-at-home mom, then time blocking can be for you. Maybe you're a full-time working mom. Guess what? It can be for you. Maybe you run your own business. Guess what? Time blocking can also be for you. The method used for blocking your time may be different depending on each stage or season of life you are in. So let's look at what that looks like. If we haven't met yet, here's a reminder that I'm speaking from a lens of a full-time working mom with a toddler girl while I'm growing a business on the side called P&W Designs. I'm also from Minnesota, so every once in a while, if you hear that accent, you know where it's coming from. I'm somebody who thoroughly felt like time blocking was a waste of time. But before we get too far, when I use the term time blocking, do you know what I mean? I mean the act of visualizing your week and or your day to help you prioritize your needs. This can be done on a paper planner or a digital planner. The benefits will vary depending on which season of life you're in, and at a high level, it increases productivity, allows you to manage your time better, can improve your focus and reduce your stress, and it allows you to visualize where you might have flexibility in your week. If you are in a season of life, it may also allow for you to see the blocks of your week where you can allocate to your business or what times you have to be prioritizing towards your family. If you have a little one at home and that's your full-time responsibility, it may allow you to block times to clean or do something for you. Again, it depends on your unique season. So let's dive in and discuss each of these scenarios. So first, we're going to talk about the one that is where the season of life that I'm in right now. It has a little added complexity for me because I'm also growing a business on the side. But what are the typical blocks of time for me as a busy professional, mom, and individual who's also growing a business? So every Sunday, I sit down and plan, whether it's digitally on paper, and I map out my blocks. I happen to be recording this on a holiday weekend, so I am sitting down on my Sunday, which is the end of the weekend, and I will be doing it on Monday night. But I always, for me, it's mentally, I like doing it on Sunday night. There are people who are saying, hey, I want to live my life on Saturday and Sunday. I do not want to be doing this, or I do not want to be planning out my next week. Then it may make sense for you to do it on a Friday. But whatever that is, make sure you're doing it kind of and resetting every weekend. So my week generally consists of my morning routine block, which is from like 6:30 to 7:30, depending on what time I get out of bed. My work block, which includes daycare pickup or drop off, as we usually take at least one between me and my husband. So if I drop off, then he picks up, or if he picks up, I drop off. It is like a 20-minute drive to daycare, so it's about a 40-minute quote unquote commute to daycare for us. And that block is from 7:30 to 4:30. For me, then personally, our family time is 4:30 to 7. Now, my daughter no longer goes to bed at 7. My husband does take the brunt of bedtime routine. So he takes over around 7. And then I plug into my business from 7 to 8:30 at night or 9, depending on kind of how much energy I have and where I am in my cycle. And then I wind down and have book time, which I've really gotten into reading this year, between 9 and 10 p.m. Now, a little note again on the spouse support. He is not growing a business. He does not have other priorities besides resting. So he is willing to kind of take the majority of the time. And then during my what I call business time, I always pause and I'll do tuck in and book. But he does like bath time, which If you have a toddler, sometimes can be 20 minutes, sometimes can be an hour, and you still can't get her out of the bath. So why it matters to time block when you're working a full-time job is I know that you're going to be busy every single day between 7:30 and 4:30 with work. And if you're in a season of life with kid activities, you are also most likely running them around between 4:30 and 7:30 most nights. So then I look at it and go, well, if I'm busy every day from 7:30 to 7:30, then you have to ask yourself, where are my life admin tasks going to get done each week? To me, life admin tasks are things like cleaning the house more than just the tidy 15, or doing laundry, or paying bills, or like just getting little things done. Like our ceiling has to be fixed, uh, painted, not totally, just there's some splotches on it. So that might be a life admin task, or weeding, or switching your plants to fall or spring or summer plants, right? That kind of like things around the house, right? So life admin tasks, the thing that helps with full-time working parents is that by seeing what's on your schedule, you're able to see, okay, my family is busy every single night but Wednesday this week. So either I dedicate Wednesday night to paying the bills and picking up the house, or I need 30 minutes each night after we get the kids to bed, or if they're having individual quiet time, to do those life admin tasks. It also gives you the ability to communicate with your partner and say, hey, this is everything we have going on this week. I need you to help with XYZ in order to keep the train on the tracks. Yes, it might mean that you're picking up the house for 15 minutes a night when you're already bone tired, but the habit will give you time back in the weekends to enjoy time as a family and not have a whole day be dedicated to those chores. It's about visualizing and then putting those little systems in place to create that peaceful productivity. If your days look similar each day, here's a couple steps for time blocking out your week. First of all, look at your morning routine. Highlight out what is your morning routine, know the steps that are needed each morning, where do your kids need to be and when, and if there is or isn't time for you in the morning to, let's say, do your movement 30, right? Second one is work block. Highlight out your work schedule. If you have to-dos for work or meetings, where are you tracking them? Evening routine, when does work end? What are your priorities? What are your appointments or commitments? What do you have going on? And then don't forget to put the kids' schedules in here as well, right? So block all that out. And then if you're also growing a business on the side, block out the time you're going to be intentionally spending on your side hustle. In this block, I've also planned out one priority a day during that time. So if I have an hour each night or an hour 4 nights that week, then I am going to do, one action within those 4 blocks of time. It's also where I use my Frixion erasable highlighters. They're, I have them right here in my drawer. They're amazing because they're pastel colors and you can erase as your needs change. So if your schedule changes, just erase it and redo it. The other thing that I'm talking about here is that this is where your schedule is owned by somebody else, right? So you're working a 9 to 5, quote unquote. And therefore, I'm not talking about getting granular in your work blocks. It's about visualizing and then scheduling maybe one task outside of your family and work priorities each day. So because the art of time blocking changes when we look at somebody who is a business owner versus somebody who is working for somebody else. For a small business owner, time blocking can be an essential in moving the needle forward with income producing activities and not getting dragged down by the everyday hustle. The main difference you'll see between somebody who's working out for somebody else, right, as a busy professional, or working on your own business is in the sample time blocking that I show within the workbook is when somebody is running their own business, there's additional details you can put within each of those time blocks for specific tasks during that time. So first of all, those tasks or those steps are going to be a little bit more expanded, right? So you take your blocks that I talked about before, your morning routine, your work blocks, your evening routine, and even your after evening routine, like after your family block, and then you get more granular. So you start by creating a list of all the tasks and activities that you need to complete in that week. So kind of brain dump everything that's a priority for you in your business that week. And then you assign a specific block of time for each of those tasks. You could do that in a calendar app, or you could do that in your paper planner. Again, it doesn't kind of matter your method. Certainly a little planner pad, then you can see it right on your desk. But If you like a paper planner, or you have one of my custom planners. I work a lot with small businesses because then we can actually write in those repeatable tasks every week in kind of a time blocked zone. But again, that's the big difference here is now you're looking at your individual blocks of time and saying, okay, maybe Monday morning is content management and Tuesday afternoons is for my clients and Wednesday is for community outreach or whatever, right? You're kind of blocking and getting granular within those blocks. Don't forget to set in time for breaks and relaxation as small business owners. I find they tend to lean so much into their passion that they forget about putting themselves first. So definitely make sure you're scheduling that in and then stick to your schedule as much as possible, but be flexible and adjust as needed because these are always meant to be tools, not change. And then review your schedule at the end of each day and make necessary adjustments for the next day. Again, going back to the erase note pens and highlighters, that's what they're used for. Think of it as taking an initial visualization and then building upon it. Don't do this practice personally because, again, I work a full-time job and I keep my corporate to-dos in a separate time blocking or a separate brain dump notepad, which is not on my desk right now. So I can't show you, but someday. I do find that is super helpful for those who do have control of their schedule and can get granular on all the business tasks when you're working your business full-time. But you may be sitting here going, well, that's all well and good, but I'm a stay-at-home mom and it's not like my kid sticks to a schedule. Don't worry, I have you covered too. Now, I should mention if you need to see, again, these blocks of information, especially as I get into this next segment of season, don't forget to look at the workbook because I actually have examples and free kind of downloads for you to be able to practice this yourself. So let's talk about trying to manage your lives when you have kids at home. You may be trying to run a business while also managing kids at home, or again, you're a stay-at-home mom and you are responsible for kind of the executive functions at home. That time blocking will probably look different. And most likely, their traditional time blocking won't be for you. You will need to blocking. Okay, I don't actually know if there's a term for this, but hang with me. So when you're looking at your week and you have a variable schedule and you can't necessarily schedule things by time, don't get overwhelmed and don't get stuck on the times of day. Think of time blocking as literal square boxes of 5 each day. So you have 5 blocks of time, right? Going from beginning of the day to the end. And they could be things like, okay, my morning block is before my kids get up. And then I'm going to have my second block is going to be when I'm in go mom mode from whatever time, 8 to 10 or whatever. And then your third block would be midday. Your fourth block would be nap time if you have littles who nap. And then your fifth block would be kind of that evening family time. You can decide kind of those 5 blocks, but I typically find having 5 is the magic number. And then again, instead of focusing on time, it's focusing on goals for each of those blocks. And look at the workbook. If you don't know what, I can't visualize this. But this helps you outline what you will get done within each week without worrying about getting your son or daughter down for a nap or quiet time done at the exact right time. Want to get laundry done on a Wednesday morning? Well, you would write that in your Monday morning block 1 to 2, depending on how you segmented your day. Or you want to pay your bills and go through the next round of kid stuff that needs to be donated. Maybe that's block 4, which is, like visually in my head, that would be nap time. As long as you know kind of your rough time frames for each of the blocks, it'll help you figure out what you want to prioritize and when. Some of your blocks will be pure kid time. And then maybe you could figure out during those blocks, right, what you're doing during that kid time because it's meant to be flexible. But regardless of what season of life you're in for these time blocking, remember it can be helpful. Remember to know your priority tasks, use a calendar or planner to conduct the activity, be realistic about what you can actually get done, make the most of the time you have and understand that no one's doing it all. And sometimes the people that you see you feel are doing the best are outsourcing it. Plan ahead, whether it's a weekly or daily, to know the plan for your future so you can move into action mode. And finally, use this to put yourself first. Make sure you're scheduling time in for yourself. If you are struggling with time blocking or have a question, message me on Instagram. I'd always love to get other people's perspectives on this topic. Remember that time blocking and planning are tools, not chains. If something doesn't work out as planned, it's okay. Reset and get the habits back in place.